Hi, y'all. I want to say, though, I never, ever could have predicted in all of my years that I would be interviewing you, Ricki Lake, okay? But life is just full of plot twists and turns, and
Yep.
then we find ourselves on the stage with you.
Absolutely. And I'm such a fan, Alua, of your work, your book. Come on, her book. So the work you do, I was a fan from the get-go, so it's a pleasure. You can ask me anything. I'm an open book.
Thank God, because here we go. We just got to remember that people are listening to us, though.
Okay.
All right, we're going to do our best.
I'm
'cause
willing to share it all.
the
I have.
conversations we've had lately have been really juicy, ranging from grief to death to psychedelics to pop culture to periods to birth to death, like all of it in a
All
very
of
short
it.
amount of time. What a treat. What a treat.
Absolutely.
It's famously said, well, we hear that you say that you did not want to die being known for doing baby mama DNA tests on your show.
Did I say that?
Did you?
I think maybe I did.
Sound familiar?
Yeah, it does.
What did you intend to do with that massive platform you created that supported so many of us?
I mean, the truth is, you guys, I went on the air when I was 24 years of age. So I was the youngest talk show host. I didn't know who I was. So the idea that I was giving advice or, like moderating a panel of very dysfunctional people at times, I mean, it kind of was very presumptuous. But I think I found myself later in life, and really through 9/11. I mean, I was talking to David earlier about my experience on September 11th in New York City. I had a 2-month-old and a 4-year-old, and I witnessed the firsthand the plane hit the building, and that really changed. It changed the trajectory of my entire life. Like I felt like at that moment I was going to die, and I'm going to die with this talk show being like what I'm known for. And I really soul searched after that experience and thought, where can I be more impactful? What do I care about? Where can I make a difference? And it was then that I chose to leave my job, my talk show. I left my marriage. And I left New York City, where I was living for a long time, and I started soul searching, and I realized that I wanted to focus on my birth experience and shedding light on normal birth, out of hospital birth, and what became the documentary, The Business of Being Born. So that, yeah. So thank you. It's the thing I'm most proud of my career. I've been around for a very long time. You all know me from Hairspray at 18, and it really was The Business of Being Born where I feel like I came into my own. I found my voice, and it's making a difference. That film is 17 years old, and it's just as relevant today as it was when it came out.
Absolutely. Are you all familiar with this documentary, The Business of Being Born? Okay. It shifted how I view birth, certainly. And one thing that I've been really appreciating lately is noticing how what you are part of in impacting how we viewed birth, the same change is now starting to happen with how we view death. Do you see any similarities in the two movements?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just this rite of passage that we all, well, not all of us become mothers or parents, but definitely we're all going to die. And I think having the reverence for the experience, being connected to the experience, not being numbed. I mean, I can't really focus on death because that's not my wheelhouse, but as far as birth, I mean, for me, I really wanted to be an active participant in this experience of becoming a mother and giving birth. And I got to have that more with my second than with my first. I was given, the cascade of intervention, and there's nothing wrong. Becoming a mother in whatever way is magical and sacred. But for me, a woman can really come into that primal power. I mean, I look back on that day of having my baby, which, if you watch the movie, I'm giving birth in my bathtub in my New York City apartment. And I mean, I get such strength, especially through the stuff I suffered later, losing my partner to suicide and getting through that. I mean, all the journey that I've been on, I go back and I tap into my primal power in that experience.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think those of us that have not given birth I'm certainly curious about the experience and what it creates out of somebody. But I notice time and again how often many of you who have given birth talk about how a part of you has to die in order for that to come to pass. Would you agree?
I do agree with that. Yeah, you become a different you, and in that experience for me, being not numbed in any way, being tapped into all of it, the agony and the ecstasy. It's like death. It goes hand in hand. You can't have the ecstasy without having the agony. And yeah, I'm so grateful. And that goes for all of my life experience. I mean, I've had a lot of trauma, a lot of things that have been super challenging for me, and a lot of it in the public eye because I've been a public figure since I'm 18 years old. but I wouldn't change any of it because it's made me the best me I've ever been. All of it. Losing my husband 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago, it taught me so much. It taught me about love, about self-love, about self-acceptance, and appreciating just being alive.
What a gift.
Yes, all of it.
Can we talk about Christian?
Yes.
So I met you through my very good friend, one of my deathy besties, Claire Bidwell Smith. Who
Where is Claire?
somewhere today.
Yeah.
My
Thank you for connecting us, Claire.
Claire said she had 3 natural births because of Ricki. Thank you. Yeah, an absolute treat.
Means so much to me. Thank you.
So we got to meet through Claire, and in the time since then, I've learned so much about your life story. Can you tell me how Claire came into your life?
Yeah, Claire, I believe I did her podcast, and it was one of those things, her podcast about grief, and she's such a beautiful writer, and I'm such a huge fan of her work. All of you are like uber fans, right? And so I was just a guest, and we became friends. I mean, we had like a really beautiful talk, and I invited her over, and she said yes. She came to my house in Malibu, and I shared more about my experience with my beloved Christian, and it was immediate. Like we just were like soul sisters, and I feel the same way about you. And that doesn't happen. It happens a lot to me. I will admit, I do bond and fall in love with people very quickly, but these two are extra special.
Well, we all fell in love with you 20-something years ago, so it's only fair. It's only fair. What about Christian? Let's talk about Christian. How did your experience of grief with Christian shape who you are today? How did grief impact you?
So Christian Evans was my second husband. I was married to my first husband and the father of my children from 25 to 35. I met Christian in my early 40s, and I never thought I'd get married again. I had a very contentious divorce, and I just thought, I don't need that anymore. I'm on my third marriage, and it turns out I'm the marrying kind. But
We love too.
and yeah, but Christian was super special. He was an alien. I mean, that's the best way. He would describe himself as that. He suffered with bipolar. And when I met him, he told me, he was fully transparent that he said, oh, I've been diagnosed bipolar. Well, I was like, I didn't even bother to look it up. I was like, oh yeah, I'm a control freak. We all have our stuff. Like I didn't understand what that meant. I know he suffered with depression. He had chronic pain. He had a lot of issues, but he was super magical, and he was madly in love with me and I with him. And we were together for 6.5 years, and we were together for 4 years before he had his first psychotic break, which I did not know. I mean, it was the scariest. It was almost more shocking, that experience of seeing him turn into another person, than his ultimate death. Yeah. And I tried to save him. I went to great lengths to do everything I could in my power to bring him to the doctors, to get him, it was really challenging. He had a second psychotic break 2 years after the first, and ultimately he took his life in February of 2017. And I'm a manifester, you guys. Like, I get shit done. And when it comes to fixing him, I couldn't fix him. I couldn't save him. And, Corey McMillan, who works with you at Going with Grace, is here. Corey, I hope you know Corey. Corey's amazing. Where are you? Hi, Corey. I love you so much. Corey and I shared, I'm seeing Corey for the first time in a number of years. And Corey was kind enough to do the celebration of life for Christian when he passed. We all met during a medicine journey weekend, and ayahuasca, to be fully transparent. And just Christian cracked me open. Like, what I can say is, through loving him and losing him, again, I'm the best version of myself because of the way he loved me. And yes, he left me, but I believe he spared me. He didn't leave me. He is right here. And I've just had so much validation that this was supposed to happen. Because I struggled for a long time. Like, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? Why, what's the lesson in this? And I feel like I've learned so many lessons. I've learned, I've just learned so much about love and about, we're still connected. They aren't gone. I mean, and he had to leave for me to have this beautiful, abundant life that I appreciate every day. I wake up in gratitude. I am so, so appreciative of this beautiful life that I've had with him, and now without him, with my new partner. And yeah, I feel like, just there's so much for me to share about him and his legacy. He's left so much. I made this beautiful documentary about cannabis, the medicinal aspects of cannabis, because of him. I I was such a Nancy Reagan disciple when I did that talk show, you guys. I was like, just say no to everything. I was like, ew, judgment, fear. I was so close-minded. And it's like when I say he cracked me open, me doing ayahuasca up in Northern California. What? Ricki, what? Are you kidding? But I just want, I just want to share that I just really feel for those people that struggle with mental illness and the loved ones that they have to, try to fix or they leave behind. I mean, I just feel like my story is worth sharing to try to tap in and connect with those people that are also going through it.
Thank you so much for that. It's wildly important, and I think it allows people to be seen in their own struggles. One of the things that you share that I find so powerful is how love doesn't change because a death occurs. The relationship has to change form, but sometimes the love, in fact, feels amplified because we no longer have them the way that we did. In what ways, like, how did you meet yourself in grief? Who did you meet in your grief?
How did I meet myself
Yeah.
in grief?
Who
I
did
mean,
you meet?
I think I was a hot mess. When he
Like a lot of
died,
us are.
What?
I said, like a lot of us are.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how to make sense of it. Like I wanted, I'm so kind of pragmatic, like, and I just wanted to get over it, get on with my life. And I think because I'm a public figure, I had to share it, and that was really, I think, helpful for me because I found so many other people are struggling, know people that are struggling with bipolar disorder, and so it was helpful. But I think I tried going to groups, I tried going to a suicide survivors group. I mean, that didn't work for me. I felt very alone. It felt so lonely. Even though I had my friends, my friend Mandy is here, Mandy Ingram, one of my best friends, literally physically holding me up. Like I'm not kidding. I could not stand up. And I had my children, my two boys who were, one's college age, the other was in high school, and they're seeing me like unable to like keep it together. And I don't think I did it right. I don't know if there's a right way to handle grief. It's so personal, but I did the best I could, and I've come out the other side. Like I do feel like I mean, I'm super emotional now thinking about Christian and thinking about what those times were for me. But, I turned out okay.
I think you're doing pretty good. I think you're doing pretty good.
And can I also add that my new husband, Ross, has been so receptive to hearing every story I have to share to this day about Christian. I talk about him a lot. I think about him a lot. He's not holding me back. I feel like it's additive. And so my husband, Ross, who has a great sense of self, and knows who he is and knows has nothing to do with, it's not anything he's lacking. It's additive to our relationship. And I believe, I mean, I'm a huge believer in the connection to people who've passed on, and that Christian brought Ross to me. I believe he brought me the man that he wished he could have been for me.
How beautiful. It's so lovely to see you loved in this way, to get
I'm
to...
the luckiest in love.
I'm
I have
lucky
had,
too, but you're doing good, girl.
yeah, yeah, you know it too. I'm so lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious about, we spent a lot of time in our relationship thus far talking about like how grief moves and changes us and who we end up as on the other side of it. There was so much that you experienced with Christian's death and in the years since then. Would you shift or change anything about that experience that you had?
That's a really good question. I don't think so. I mean, I definitely made mistakes. Like, I definitely got involved in relationships, trying to like connect with people. I let a few men take advantage of me. Like, I started a business. I got into crypto. I'm really glad I got into crypto right now. But but like I should not have been like operating heavy machinery or making big decisions at that time. I was I went to Burning Man for the first time, and I had my clothing made, and I had the clothing lined on the inside with Christian's clothing because we always wanted to go together and we never got to. So I got to bring him with me. I mean, I did so much honoring of him, but I think it was like an up and down. It was not a linear like rise. It was definitely a few mess ups along the way. But I don't think I would, because all of it's been a journey.
I think most of us that have navigated grief understand that, first of all, there's no right way to do it. And often when we approach it thinking that there's a correct way, that's when we end up using grief or our human experience against ourselves as a weapon.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How do we get better at handling death, whether it be our own or our loved ones? Like, what can we do? What could I have done differently?
Why am I not at all surprised that Miss Ricki Lake is bringing the big guns on me on the stage right now? No big deal question. Well, I don't know what you could have done differently, but I will say that in hearing how you've alchemized and how you've been with grief, that you allowed yourself to go where you need to go during the time that you needed to. And I think that's maybe one of the biggest calls that grief asks of us is to just be who we are, you know? One of the things that I love and struggle with about being human is that we get to give ourselves the opportunity to be the full breadth of who we are at all times. That means being in our grief, allowing grief to crack ourselves open, allowing ourselves to meet ourselves over and over and over again in our grief. Because I don't know, you know, I've grieved many things before, but I don't know who I will be when I'm grieving a particular thing. And so I want to continue giving myself grace to meet myself in that grief time and again.
Right.
Yeah. And I think as long as we allow ourselves to do that, we create space for us to be human, to be the very, very messiest versions of ourselves, to allow ourselves to be loved there, to be held there, and also to trust that the experiences that we have along the way make us resilient enough to be able to approach whatever it is that we may meet along the way in our lives, including death, including grief.
Yes.
Yeah. Grief makes us, I think, thicker, fuller, richer. And I don't mean the waistline, although it may, because I end up eating a lot of fries when I'm grieving. My God, I eat so much in my grief. I know some people don't much, but I just shove shit in there just to make
Yeah.
myself feel better.
Yeah, when I get anxious or I get upset, I turn to food. I am not one of those people that loses my appetite. Just doesn't, it's not in the cards.
No, and that also is an expression of grief. Sometimes there's so many different expressions. And I think when we allow ourselves the grace to just do what is coming naturally to us, that's when we get to be like our thickest human selves, our biggest, fullest human selves. The experience of grief can be so overwhelming, as you were saying before. It can be very isolating as well. It feels very lonesome. But when you do it in a way that millions of people are watching, that has to feel doubly overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't expect that. Like I never think, that's the other thing about me is I jump feet first. I don't know if you're this way, Lua, but I
Girl.
jump and I pretty much always land on my feet. Mandy would attest. I don't think of like the consequences. I just do what I feel is right in the moment. I'm super impulsive and it's worked out for me. I'm 56 and I'm not going to change anytime soon. So, you know, it's just, this is just who I am.
It seems like it's all working out pretty good for you.
Yeah, I'd say I'm thumbs up on things so far.
Thumbs
And
up.
yeah, life keeps getting better, and that's like another thing I love sharing is like I'm 56. It's supposed to be like going downhill. It's supposed to. I mean, you know, just what I've learned, and I feel like it's just only getting better. It's only more fun for me, and it's super fulfilling. Like all of it.
Well, to age certainly is a gift, yeah, because the alternative means that we're dead,
That's true.
you know? And so I'm like, all right, we'll take some more wrinkles and crackly knees and
Gray hair.
more gray hairs,
Yeah.
but also deeper knowledge of self,
Absolutely.
you know, deeper knowledge of the other, deeper knowledge that there may be no other, deeper knowledge of like who I am.
I love getting older. I celebrate my age and the fact that my body, you know, like I used to hate working out. I used to hate, you know, it was like a chore. It was like a thing I had to get off the list. Now it's like being 56, the fact that my body moves and I hike every morning and I do Pilates 3 days a week and that I'm not in pain and that I can wear a tiny mini dress in front of all of you.
Yeah, girl.
Like,
Get it.
I really appreciate this body of mine.
These bodies are the site of so much. They are marked upon by other people based on some biological things like race or height or weight or eye color or even where the bodies are born and where they grow up. And these bodies often also create the opportunity for a site of liberation if we choose. You know, the bodies themselves can be a site of liberation. So much of the work of death work is about honoring the body, like what the body experienced while it was here. And what I'm hearing you say is that you get to celebrate this body of yours by exercising it, by moving it, by eating good food, by et cetera, by, yeah. As we're getting closer, as you continue to age, as we all are on our eventual march toward death, how would you encapsulate a life well lived with all that you've experienced in it thus far?
You're looking at it. Like, I feel like I hope when I die, I want people to say, man, she lived well. You know, I have like gotten that brass ring and I've held on tight and I'm just like, like I said, I'm so lucky. I've had all this life experience. I've achieved, I've overcome. Come on, I was the fat girl in Hairspray that got the guy and won the contest. Hello? Like, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. I just feel so grateful. And I don't have a relationship with my mother. I don't, like, it's not been perfect at all, but I wouldn't trade places with anyone else.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's maybe the best that we can all hope for as we approach our dying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are we approaching? I don't feel like, I think I'm still way living.
I mean, who knows? We're living all the way up until the very end, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Who knows? It could be at 56, 98. We're going to live
I
all
just
the way.
say, I want to know you till the very end.
I hope so.
Okay?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for joining
I
me on
love
stage.
you.
Thank you all.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.